Hey guys, Lenny here. Welcome out to shop. I figured I'd just I wanted to do a video on how to program Spektrum AR12310T receiver, just like this one here. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I've been setting up planes recently. I've been putting together some ARFs, and I've got my, as you can see, I got my Top Flight Mustang here that I've programmed, and I've also got I got this Top Flight Hellcat that I've also programmed as well. And I was kind of doing this so infrequently there for a while that I would kind of forget. I would have to give my buddy a call for some help, but I've been kind of doing it. I wanted to make this video. I'm basically making this video for myself to remind myself how to do this the next time if I take a break from not doing this for a while, when I can kind of come back to it. And I thought it might be good to maybe just post this. Maybe this would help somebody else out too. So what I'm going to be using, like I said before, is this a Spektrum AR12310T. This is the 12-channel power safe receiver from Spektrum, and I use a DX18, a Spektrum DX18 radio or a transmitter. So that's what we'll be kind of working with. I'll show you the. I'll be showing the kind of the set. This is the setup that I have in the Mustang. As you can see, I have the receiver right here. I run an AS3000, and I also have the GPS module, which is that's super easy to hook up. You just basically plug it in and select GPS module and telemetry. But I'll show you guys how to do that as well. So if you have one of those, you'll be able to know how to kind of get that set up. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here, and I'll turn on the radio, and then we'll start kind of going through the steps of how to get this programmed. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at here is I always kind of make myself an index card. I don't know if this is kind of redundant or not, but this is just so I know where I have things set up. So if I was, like if I was getting some help or something at the field from my buddy, I could show him, like, well, this is how I have everything set up. So as you can see here, I've got, and this is pretty standard setup, I guess, but this will be for like a 12-channel, warbird, like, two flaps, two ailerons, dual elevators, and a rudder servo and a tail wheel on a separate servo as well, plus a throttle and a choke, and your retract servo that to make. I use air retracts, so that actuates that that little that servo actuates that valve to get the retracts going down. So as you can see here, channel 1 is going to be throttle. Channel 2 is going to be the right aileron, and I call that one aileron 2. 3 will be the right elevator, and that's elevator 2. Right rudder is just rudder, and left flap is flap 1. Left aileron is aileron 1. Right flap is flap 2. Left rudder, I guess with the tail wheel, and left elevator is going to be elevator 1. Channel 10 is going to be aux 5, which is where I have my gear. 11 will be the choke, and then 12 will be the ignition kill. And then this stuff here is just the high rates, low rates. I just put those down there so I have them. So next we'll start at the radio, and we'll start going there from the very beginning on that. Alright guys, before I turn the radio on, the next thing I'll show you is how I have my switches set up. And this is, I fly in mode 1, so I believe this is mode 1 or whatever. The throttle's on the left, and your up and down, your ailerons are on the right. This is how I have my switches set up. This switch back here, that's a 2-position switch. That will be switch A. That's going to be for landing gear. The switch above that, switch B, I don't use. I don't have anything turned on to that one. Switch right here. This one, this 3-position switch. This is C. I have this for my dual rates on my elevator. This switch here is my flap controls. It's a 3-position switch. It's switch D, and this is where I also have my flight modes. I like to use flight modes for this would be flaps up, flying configuration, takeoff flaps, and then landing flaps. And I have 3 different flight modes and we're going to set that up too. And I have also and all of my trims for an elevator, ailerons, rudder, and throttle trim is all set to flight modes, because that way you have 3 separate trims, and you can also have your throttle control 3 separate trims too, because I like to have, when I'm in flying mode, I like to have a little bit higher idle set, so that way if when I come back down, it doesn't go all the way down to idle. It stays up a little bit higher than that to kind of keep things going. And then when I switch into, you know, like when I switch into landing mode, which is, you know, flaps down, then I allow that idle to come down a little bit more. So that's where I have that. This switch here, this left trim, this is where I'm going to have this is where I'm going to control the my tail wheel steering. The tail wheel steering will, and the trim of my tail wheel steering. You know, obviously the tail wheel will be controlled with the rudder stick, but I have less movement on my tail wheel than I do with my rudder to help, you know, so keep from oversteering it. And I also can adjust the trim. So if my plane's tracking to the right, I can move this little lever, and you can get it so your plane tracks. So I really like doing that. I like having the tail wheel separate on a separate servo from the rudder, because man, it's so nice to be able to trim that. Because I've had a few back when I was flying 60 sizes, I used to just have a single servo over both, and man, it's just such a pain to get that thing trimmed out. And you know, you have to go there and try to fix it, and I could just never seem to get it right. So this is it's huge. It's so awesome to have it like that. The next switch over here is switch E. It's the next 3-position switch. This is where I have my AS3000. I'm not going to show the programming of the AS3000 because I don't know how to do that. I haven't gotten trained on that part yet, but that's the next thing. And I'll probably add another video later on when I learn how to do that. But typically what I have is this up is off. This is for flying stabilization, and then this would be for landing stabilization. So I have my gain, I believe it's a little bit higher on the landing stabilization than it is for flying. So over here on, I guess this is going to be switch G, this guy right here, that's not G, I think this is I, or F. It's kind of worn off, I can't tell now, but this switch, this 3-position switch here, this is for my dual rates on my ailerons. And I don't have a dual rate on the rudder. I keep the rudder at full throw. So, and that's what I do with that. On the planes where I have a choke, this switch here. This is switch G. This one right up here. This is where I have my. It's a 3-position switch, but all the way up is no choke, and then all the way down is choke. So that's where I have my choke set. I don't have anything on the dial. And then over here on this last switch here, on switch H, that's where I have my engine kill. So my ignition kill. So up is engine off, and then down is, you know, ignition on. And I also have the voice command set up for these two. I like being able to hear that. It's just something that I prefer. But you can obviously set that up however you like. So that's my switch setup. So then now we'll turn on the radio and kind of move on. All right, guys. So now I have the transmitter turned on, and as you guys can see here, I have it set on my P51 right now. Let me try to get a good shot of this. So I'm just gonna push the two buttons right here together, and this will allow us to switch to a new model. So I'm just gonna scroll down. You know, I got my Mustang, I got my Cub, my Hellcat, I got this EDF Hornet, and then I have a template that I was working on making. I'm gonna have a template with all of the stuff that we're gonna go through. So on the next model, I can just select that template, and then I can copy it and use that. So for that, but we're gonna start with a fresh model on this one. So we're gonna go down here to add new model. I could go with Acro with 7, which is already set up for airplane, but I'm just gonna go add new model. We'll just go through the whole thing. So we'll go to add new model. Then do you want to create a new model? And just create. And then we're going to go to aircraft type. No, it's not going to that. We're going to go to model type. And just select airplane. Go to yes. That's probably redundant, but I'm doing it anyhow. So then now we're going to go to aircraft type. So this is where you select your wing type. So the first thing I'm going to go down, I'm just going to scroll down here to the wing, and then just click on normal. And then now we're going to change it to, and you can see the different setups. But we're going to go to dual aileron, dual flap. So I'm just scrolling. So 2 ailerons, 2 flaps. We're going to go there. So this one 2 aileron, 1 flap. So here we have the 2 aileron, 2 flap configuration. That's what we want. And then tail. We're going to go to that now and just click on that. And just scroll through until we find dual elevator, and that's that one. So now we have that selected. So now we'll go to next, And all of this stuff right here on this next one is stuff that we're leaving alone for right now. Now we'll just go back to list. So we go back to the top. And then we can just go to model name. And I'm just gonna select this name. I'm just gonna call this training. Actually, I'm just gonna call it T. I don't know. It's been the whole rest of this training session, you know, clearing this out. So let's call it training. So you guys can figure this part out. We're just gonna call it T, whatever this is right here. So that's good enough. So this is gonna be the training one. So we're gonna go back after we got the name set, and then now I'm gonna go to model select, and I'm gonna select that one, which is the TDR0. It's just gonna be our training model for this video. So now, if we go back to the beginning screen, now we see that we have just sort of like the basic outline of this thing, kind of the basic shell sort of set up. But now we're going to go to the rest of the programming. So you just click the dial, and we're going to go into the channel assignment, and that's where we're going to set up the stuff that we had on our index card from earlier. So we're going to scroll down to System Setup, click on it. It says if you want to go in there. Yes, I'm sure. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to channel assignment. So this is where we're going to go through the stuff on the note card. So you guys, take a look at that note card thing from the beginning in the beginning, and then get those settings written down. So this is where we're going to set that. So as you can see, it's mostly set up like it's supposed to be already. So let me just make sure I get it close enough you guys can see that. So channel 1 is our throttle. And channel 2 is our right aileron. Channel 3 is our right elevator. And channel 4 is going to stay at rudder. I know I called that right rudder before, but it's just rudder. It was my mistake there. Channel 5 is going to be our left flap. Aux 1 is going to be, that's number 6. That's going to be aileron, or left aileron, or aileron 1. 7 is going to be our right flap. 8 is going to stay at aux 3, because that's what we're going to set up for our tail wheel. But that's our tail wheel steering. That's why we have our separate rudder and separate tail wheel servos. We're going to set that up differently. The next setting is 9. That's going to be elevator, our left elevator. And then 10 is going to be aux 5, which is our gear. And then, so you notice that 11 and 12 are not on here. So that's because they haven't been set up yet. So what we're going to do, so in order to activate, when you have one of these 12-channel receivers, it just gives you, I believe it's 9 channels. In order to activate 10, 11, and 12, you have to go back to the main screen, go back to the list, and you have to go to, I think it's frame rate. So you scroll down in the settings down here until you get to frame rate. You click on that, and then you scroll down here to you leave the 22 milliseconds thing like it is. I don't mess with that ever. You leave mode at DSMX. You go to X plus and you click on that, and you want to have that activated. So once you have that activated, then you're good to go. Then you can go to next. I'm not going to do any model match on here or anything like that. Then next is another. This tells you the binding is voice, bind type, telemetry. It's all done. It just tells you the voice commands, what it's going to do. So we're going to go back to the main screen. So I'm just going to click the back button right here. So now we're there. So now when we go back into channel assignment, so we scroll back up to that, go to channel assignment. As you can see, we got all the stuff that we just went over. But now when we go to next, you're going to see actually, it's not here yet. So the throttle and all this stuff, we're going to leave this for right now. Then we go down and you just click down here to the next portion. Now we're going to go into this is our X plus input config. So this is where we're going to, this is your channel. So X plus 1 is 10, X plus 2 is 11, and X plus 3 is channel 12. So then the other ones are, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all for if you get that expander module, but I don't have that on this plane. So we're also going to go through here and set these up, but I got to get my I got some screenshots on my phone of these, so just bear with me for 1 second. I'll get those and we'll come back to them. But we're going to go back to previous. I'm going to go back to the previous screen because that's where we're going to. That's where we're going to go to next. So just hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, guys. So we're back. So just let me show you where we're at here. We're back here picking up where we left off on this channel input. Try to get you guys good. This is the channel input configuration screen. So I have these written down on my. I took a picture on my phone here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way over here to. We want to go to number 8, which is aux3, and we're going to switch that to the left trim A, which is what that is this little that's on this side. It's this switch. It's this little button up here. So let me just show you how we scroll over to that. So basically, just go right here. So now we're on that. As you can see, we're on aux3. Just click on, and we have that selected. So I'm going to switch that over to left trim. So just scroll over till you find it. It's the left trim A. Left trim A. So you switch that one there. So that makes that little left trim button that I showed you earlier. That's how we trim our. That's how we trim our tail wheel. So we can make our plane track straight down the runway, and that's very, very important. And the next one is our aux5. This is where we're going to tell it that we want to have switch A. Let me scroll, just zoom back here. That's this switch right here. This is the one for our landing gear, and so that's the gear. So we'll and that's where I like to have the gear. So just let me get back to this point. So we have that one. As you can see, we have it highlighted. It's flashing. Oops. Now we're going to make that go to A. So just scroll until we find A. Or switch A. Okay, so now that's set up. So now when we go to the input config, so this is our X plus, so we can just go to the next button and then we go to X plus input config. This is where we're going to do the rest of our switches. So G, H, and E. So what that is, let me scroll back out. If you recall, that G, which is this guy right here, this is going to be our choke. How we activate our choke. Then H is the one right below that. That's for our ignition kill. And then E. That's where like I said, that's where we're going to have our. That's going to be our stabilization, our AS3000. That's how we're going to have that either off, flying mode, or takeoff and landing mode. So what we'll do is we'll just go down here now. Let me zoom back in so you guys can see. So X plus 1 is G. So you just click on that and you scroll to where make it say G. Like that. Then go to the next one. Do the same thing, and we go to H. And then X plus 3. Click on it, and then go to E. Okay, so those are all set now. Alright guys, so now after we finished that, we were on the, where were we at? Yeah, we were on the X plus input config screen. So now we're going to go back to the mixing screen. Now we're going to go and we're going to set this is how we're going to set our mix. What this is going to do is this is going to activate what this is going to do is when we put our landing gear up, what I like to have do, so when my retracts are up, I like to have my tail wheel steering servo, I like to have it basically be off, so it's not moving when I'm using my rudder when I'm flying. So we're gonna go. Let's just click the back button. So now we need to go to the mixing screen, and I believe so we have to also go back to the main screen to get to that. So go back to our main screen. It goes there. Then you just click the button, and then you want to find mixing. So you just scroll down a little bit until you find mixing. You click on that. So leave all this stuff in the top here. We just leave that alone. We want to go down to mix 1 and select it. So then the next thing we do is we scroll down here and we click on normal. and then just scroll down one more, and it puts us down here where it says inhibit. We want that. Let me get to the right screen here. Here we go. So we want to have it. We want to just click on that, and then we want to have it to. We want it to have. It says in, and you'll see like in elevator, in in elevator, elevator or aileron, in elevator. We want to go to. We want to go to rudder. In rudder, we select that, and then we want to go to the next one. Click on that, and we want to have that to say AX3, so aux3, which is our gear. So we have that selected, and then for rate, I like to use 45%. So I'm just going to click on it and then scroll to the right. This will be personal preference for you guys. So whatever you feel like you're the right amount. This is basically, I think it's your throw. So whatever you guys feel like works best for you. For me, I choose to use 45%. So just scroll over till you get to 45 for both of these. 45. Leave offset alone. Leave trim on inhibited on switch. Just click on, and then flip. You can flip or you can select. You can flip the switch or select it, whichever one you want. I like to do it to switch A. So that's how you do it. And then you have it, and then it's there. So then it's good to go. So and I want to have it so the square on the left is the black one, and then the square on the right. So that will turn off your when the gear comes up, which is on the right. That means that it'll turn it off, and your tail wheel won't move inside your plane when you're flying. But when you put down, that's when it activates and the tail will work. The tail wheel will work. So that's how you set up just a quick mix for your tail wheel steering. So one thing I forgot to show. So after we get all of that stuff set up in there for the tail wheel, we're just going to go just scroll back to the top, click on back, and then this is what the screen should look like. So all of this stuff should be set to inhibited, and then you should see it right here. You should see your rudder pointing to AX3, which is your switch, and so that tells you that we have it all set up. So now I'm just going to click the back button, and I'm going to go back here to the main screen, and I'm going to figure out the next step, and then I'll come back and show you guys. All right, guys. So the next step here, what we're going to do is we're going to tell the transmitter what we want it. So we're going to set up our flaps and our flight mode all in the same thing, all at the same time. So we're going to tell the transmitter what switch to use, and then we're going to link. We're going to set that up for flight modes, and then we're going to have the trims. Then we're going to set the trims to the flight mode, so you can. That's one thing that I like to do. I really like the flight modes. That's a really great thing. Having 3 separate trims. I don't know. That's something that I really like. So I like to have my flaps on. Like we talked about earlier on switch D. So all the way up is going to be no flaps, and that's basically flying mode. Middle is takeoff flaps, and then all the way down is landing flaps. So here's how we do that. I'll show you. Zoom back in here so you guys can see. So we're on the main screen. Just click the button, the roller, and then we're going to scroll down to flap system. And then you just want to scroll down to where it says inhibit, and you can click on that. Right now it's set up for switch D, but I'm just going to go ahead and just activate this. Just flip the switch, or you can scroll through you can scroll through until you find it. I like either way. And once you get it, then we click on it. So this is where you'll have to go through and find this out yourself. So for like your flap position. This would be flaps up. This one here would be, you know, takeoff flaps, and then this here would be landing flaps. And then you can also add a mix with your elevator if you want to, but this is where you do your position. So just one thing that and this is how I set it up. If you go to position one is takeoff flaps. So you'll just have to figure out where you want your takeoff flap position, and you can adjust the percentage, so your throws basically, and that's where you set those up. So you'll have to set those up to whatever plane you want, and that would be something that if I was going to show you guys, I would just have to set it up on a plane. I'm just not going to do that. So the next, basically, I'm just leaving it at the top. I'm going to go down here. The next thing I do is once you go through and you can set up your where your flaps up are, where your takeoff flaps are, and where your landing flaps are. Then and it shows you down here where your switch is at, what switch it is, which is switch D, and then speed. I click on that. I like to set mine at 2 seconds, and that's the amount of time it takes for the flaps to go down. So you can make that a lot faster if you want. You can have it just be really quick, or you can have it be even slower. 2 seconds is what works for me. So once I click that, I just click it again, and then we're just going to scroll back to the list here. Click list and go back. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go to flight mode setup. So to get to flight modes, we're going to go down to system setup and click on that. Hopefully this is easy to see. Let me try to get this a little bit better. That's not it. A little bit better center. So we click on system setup, then just say yes. And now we want to just, as we scroll down, you see F- mode setup. That's flight mode setup. So we come in here and we see basically switch 1 and switch 2. Just go to switch 1 and click on that, and then you can select, like, you can scroll to select the switch you want, or you can just click the switch. I'm going to click the switch, which is switch D. So now it's been selected. So we're good to go there. So now just click on it again, and then scroll to next. And this just tells you the position that your switch is in. So now we're going to go back to list. So now we've got our flight modes set up. So flight modes are set up on our switch D for our flaps. So the next thing we need to do is set up our trims to be activated by the flight modes. So that way we have the 3 separate trims. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go find trim, which I think, yep, trim setup. So it's just 2 down from. So here's flight mode setup. Then just scroll down to trim setup, and then this is your throttle. You can see aileron, throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder, left trimmer, right trimmer. So the only ones that I'm going to use, we're going to set our throttle, our aileron, our elevator, and our rudder all to basically to flight mode. So what you do is you just scroll down. So now that we're on throttle, just scroll one over where it says common digital. And then I'm just going to switch that one over to flight mode digital. And then I'm going to go to aileron, same thing, and where it says common, I'm going to click on that, and the next one is flight mode. And if you click it again, it goes back to common, so just click flight mode. Now we're going to go to our elevator. Same thing, flight modes. Now we're going to go to our rudder. Now it's all set to flight mode. So everything is set to flight mode. So all of our trims. So we're good to go. So all the rest of the stuff we just leave alone. Alright guys, so we're picking up where we left off here. We were in our trim setup mode, and we just set everything to, we set all of our just throttle, aileron, elevator, and rudder all to use the flight modes, as you can see there. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up, if you have the GPS module, this is where you set it up. So we are going to go back to list, and now we want to scroll down to telemetry. And then we scroll down here to the first one, and then you can see, as you can scroll through these, you can select whichever one you want. Volts, temperature, amps, fuel level, all this, power box, airspeed, altitude. That's where you set up those if you had like the little modules for them. But I'm using the GPS module, So you just click on GPS, and then you just click on it, and then you can set up your, you can set up your alarms, your status reports and warnings and stuff like that. That's where you can have it talk to you every 5 minutes or every 5 seconds if you want to, and tell you different feedback. But that's basically how you activate it and enable it. So then after we're there, then we just go back. We'll just go back to the main, basically to the system setup screen. All right, guys. So I believe that's the main, basically the main programming of getting everything set up. It's not too bad. What I'm going to cover now is just some sort of odds and ends stuff, and this is stuff that you may already know, and if you don't, you can learn how to do it here. One thing, if you can hear that, it's real soft. That's the volume. So to adjust the volume, just click the back button. Let me just scroll back out a little bit. This button right here at the bottom, the back. And that turns this screen over here to the volume. So you can you can have your volume all up to 100. So now it's a lot louder. So you can hear things a lot better. And so now it's telling you about your flight modes. I like to change those. I like to have those be flaps up, takeoff flaps, and landing flaps. And I like to have the voice set up. I like to hear, when I'm flying, I like to hear the voice, tell me like gear down and that sort of stuff. So one other thing you can do is you can, if like your time, for time it's super easy. Just click the roller and then just go down to timer. And then countdown, and then you can just scroll down here to your time, and you can set your time to whatever you want. Typically I have mine set to 10 minutes. That's where I'm at. And then you can also you can have your throttle start, or you can have you can have your timer start when the stick it defaults at 25%, but I like to have mine start a little bit lower than that. I like to have it basically start I keep it like real low, like around 5%. That way it starts like right away. And then like when you're starting it up and your red engine, make sure everything's running good. Basically back here on the main screen, when you start your and you get it going and it starts to go down, then you get it out there. Then you make sure your engine's running good. You taxi it out and you get ready for takeoff. What I like to do is just I'll show you. You've already used some time. So I just like to hit the clear button, because 10 minutes for one of my warbirds, like I'm flying, I got a 32-ounce gas tank. 10 minutes is, I'm maybe getting to half a tank, probably not. So it's plenty of fuel, but I like to be on the safe side on that. So that's how you do that. I'll show you one other thing, how to set up a voice event, a voice alert. So basically, we'll do it for the flight modes, but this is how you do it for any of the rest of the stuff too. So if you want to have like your, when the gear goes down, it says gear down, gear up, ignition, motor on, motor off. We'll do it for flight mode. So we'll change it from saying flight mode. So we'll get it change it from saying that to flaps up, takeoff flaps, and landing flaps. So I'll show you how to do that. So click on the roller button, go to your main screen, then scroll down to, should say right here, custom voice setup, and then scroll down to add new sound event, and actually we're not going to do it for flight modes. We'll do it for the gear down, because flight modes you can go in and do it in the flight mode section. So I got a little confused there. So we'll do it for this one. We'll do it for our gear. So I'll show you. Remember, our gear switch is over here on switch A. So we're gonna have switch A is gonna say gear up and gear down. So I'll show you how to do that. Let me get back here to this screen. Okay. So we're picking up where we left off. So it says switch change report. You want to click on that. And then now it says switch inhibited. So to go down there and just click on the inhibited part. And then it's flashing. So just flip your switch or scroll to the switch you want. So I just selected switch A. That's for my gear. Oop. And then you got to click on it again. And then now you go down here to position 0, which is up, which is basically going to be up, which is gear up. So then just click on that, and then now you can just scroll through. There's a ton of sounds on here, so just scroll through that, and it's way at the bottom, so I'm going to go fast. You just got to go until you find basically gear up. There's a ton of different sounds that'll tell you, so you just kind of keep on going. On my note, I'm getting close when I see the silence come up here. Yeah, so right here. So in this section right here, you see the silence. I mean, obviously that means it won't say anything, but now you just keep on scrolling down, and then I'm going to make it say gear up. So, and I always screw that up. So it should be saying gear down. So I'm going to switch that to say gear down. So it's basically after you select it, then you can just go down to gear down. So like I said, I made a mistake. I always get those reversed, so you just basically go back in there and select gear down. So now, when it goes up, it says nothing because we haven't selected that yet. But now when we switch down to make the gear come down, it says gear down. So then what we'll do is we'll just go to the position 2 or position 1, and we'll scroll all the way back down. Yeah, no, there's silence. Okay, so once you find silence, then we want to say, then we'll say gear up. So for position 0, you want to have it say gear down, and then for position 1, you want to have it say gear up. So now when we flip our switch, and I'll show you, then I'm just going to click the back button just to get out of there. So when we flip our switch, so right now the switch is in the gear up position. We click it down. Gear down. It says gear down. Gear up. Now it says gear up, so that it tells you when that's happening. So that's pretty slick. Another thing that I like to do too, which is kind of cool, and I do this for all the switches that I want to have a feedback on. I don't use it for my dual rates. I don't know I'm going to there, but I would definitely have it on the flight modes, and we'll do that next. But another one that I like to do is on the bind button. But one thing that I was kind of doing, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing this or not, but I like to have that switch. It works for bind, and this doesn't have anything. This won't affect the bind, but you can have it so it'll read back. It'll tell you the time, so you can set that up so when you're flying and you don't want to look down at your radio, but you can reach over there and you can feel that button. You can just push it, and it'll say time remaining, 8 minutes or whatever. But that's another kind of thing that I like to do, and you can set that up. Basically, go through the same way. Let's go back and we'll do one last thing here on the custom voice setup. And this actually won't be in the custom voice setup part. This is going to be in our flight mode. So you hear it when I switch when I do my flaps.
Flight mode 2, flight mode 1.
It's talking about the flight modes. So I don't want it to say flight mode. I want it to say flaps up, takeoff flaps, and landing flaps. So let's go do that here real quick. So flight mode setup. Yeah, so flight mode, so we're going to have to go to flight mode setup, which we'll have to go into system settings. And then you want to go, then what you do is in system settings, go down to spoken flight mode, click on that. So the first one is basically the flight mode name, and there's flight mode 1, leave that one alone. Go to the next one, and you click on it, where it says flight mode at the bottom, F mode 1, click on that, and now you can choose these are all the voice commands, so you can just, or the voice prompts. So now what I'm gonna do is go down, I'm gonna find flaps up. So it's way down in here too. You just gotta scroll through until you find it. Where did it go? Okay, so there's your silence again. That's always kind of like a marker. Excuse me, a little marker that I find that after that, then you're starting to get close to where you want. So let's see here. Okay, here we go. So now we found flaps up. So it's right here. So just select that. So now you can test it. Flaps up.
Flaps up.
And it says it. So then what we're going to do, so we know that that's working. So now I'm going to move the switch. I'll show you. I'm going to move my flap switch to takeoff flaps. And if you notice, make sure I got this right in the viewer here for you. So if you watch, it switches from flight mode 1. So now it goes to flight mode 2. So it's just the same thing as we did before. So just click on F mode 2, and then you got to scroll clear down the bottom, clear past when you see the silence prompt. I went way past it that time. Where did he go? It's kind of hard to find. Here we go. So then we go to takeoff flaps. And then that's set. So now we're going to go into flight, down to flight mode 3. And then we're going to scroll all the way back down again and we're going to find landing flaps. And there it is right there. Landing flaps. So after you get that, then you can just go back to your main screen, and then so now, as you can see,
Flaps up.
So we're in our flight mode. So that's flaps up, takeoff flaps,
Landing flaps.
and landing flaps. So now it tells you. So like I said, I like that feature. So I like to have that activated. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I think I covered everything, and hopefully I didn't make a mistake on this, but I think I got them all in there, and that's basically how I go about setting this up. So that's kind of like your basic. You would still need to go in and add your exponential if you wanted to add, that. I would definitely do that. I just don't know. I got to consult with my buddy on how much expo he likes to have. He basically does all my maidens for me, so I'll have him set the expo to what he likes. But you would still need to go in and do that sort of stuff. But that's basically how you get how you program it for like one of these one of these giant scale warbirds, that's using 12 channels. Obviously, if you had more channels, you would set up more channels. But that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Later.